I'm here in Los Angeles, and I'm joined by my co-host Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico, and Carlos Ponce in Mexico City. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tori.
And today we have the Ellis Wims with us. Please, Ellis, before I botch up the introduction, introduce yourself to the audience. Let them know who you know. For those who don't know, tell us a bit about your NFL experience. Please introduce yourself.
Well, hey, good to be here, man. Good to meet you guys. Good to get a chance to connect with your audience. Again, I'm Ellis Wims, just a guy from Indianola, Mississippi, a small town. Grew up in a really small town. Played a few years in the NFL. Do some great work in the community now, and just looking to jump on this call and really just kind of connect with you guys, connect with your audience. I know all of us are kind of stuck in the house right now. With our social distancing and just our stay-at-home orders in our respective states, but we're gonna have some fun today. I'm looking to just connect with you guys, have some fun, have some good conversation. Maybe you guys will get to know me, I'll get to know you guys, and we'll go from there.
Sounds like a great plan. So, Ellis, please tell us who you played for before we go into what you're doing now with your business. Who did you play for?
Well, I played most of my career for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and for everybody knows right now, the Bucs they went from the Yucks to the Bucs again with getting Tom Brady and getting Gronk to come down there. So Tampa's about to be lit coming up, man.
There's a lot of angry people about Tom Brady leaving the Patriots.
I know, man. Couldn't believe he left the Patriots. Really couldn't believe he went down to Tampa. A guy like Tom Brady. Tampa's been a small market team. We won a Super Bowl there. So I played with a lot of great players there in Tampa. They really put that city on the map. But to have Tom Brady to come to Tampa, to have Gronkowski, those guys are champions. They're great men. I can't wait to see Gronk strolling down Dale Mabry highway in Tampa Bay, and I think they're going to bring a lot of juice and fire to the city. So maybe we're looking to compete for a championship again in Tampa.
All right, Ellis, tell us a bit about what you're doing. Your company, not only are you doing some great things for kids, please introduce what you're doing to the audience.
I started a nonprofit called Athletes for Computer Science, and again, I grew up in a small town, Indianola, Mississippi. And in the Mississippi Delta, and it's an area that's traditionally had between 30 and 40% unemployment. And I, growing up in those type of areas, you don't get necessarily connected sometimes to the educational opportunities that'll help you kind of find your way in the world. I grew up poor, but I tell people I didn't know I was poor. I didn't know what I didn't have. But I get a chance to go home. Get a chance to kind of reflect on, growing up with my mom and how things were a struggle. When I was in college, she worked at a lawnmower factory for 18 years, but, due to globalization, that factory up and went to, Mexico or Asia or wherever it went to at that time when, factories were being plucked out of the United States and being placed in other areas. So my hometown has struggled, and America has struggled. A lot of rural America has struggled since those factories started to up and leave. So I wanted to do something educationally to really kind of start to build a foundation for a new opportunity in those type of areas. Again, I grew up in that type of area. I know what it's like. And the only thing that can help reverse and change some of those things is building a foundation educationally. So we teach computer science fundamentals to kids third through 12th grade. We do it via video conference. We're able to put these learning opportunities in schools in areas that don't typically get those opportunities. So, I think it's something I'm really excited about doing. Technology makes it possible, just like we're here talking on this interview. We've done a lot of great work in a lot of great communities.
That sounds great, Ellis. We want to definitely learn more about that. Kim, please, what's the topic of our conversation today? Let's kick off the conversation.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Ellis, it's nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us today. What's up? So the topic of choice is influence the future, building economic confidence in future generations. I think you've already kind of set the stage really beautifully for that, but we'll focus specifically on how we can educate today to determine the world that we live in tomorrow. And as you already mentioned, your nonprofit is the Athletes for Computer Science. My first question, specifically talking about kids, there's even this saying, right, that we have in English, and it says brain versus brawn, right?
Yeah.
So traditionally, there's been this sort of competition, right? You can be smart or you can be tough and athletic, as if these two things are mutually exclusive. So my first question for you is, I'm really intrigued by what you're focusing on doing, and what types of techniques do you have to bridge that mythical gap?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. And again, I think you're right. Traditionally, you either have to choose. You have to either be an athlete or you have to be, a business person or have choose another career. But now more than ever, I think we're seeing a society evolve to where, people are multi-talented. People are able to, run businesses at the same time they hold a job. You're able to, run a podcast at the same time they may be working in accounting. Like people are so multifaceted with the talents that they have. And, I think with athletes, specifically with this generation of athletes, not so much, I think, when I was coming up, but with the LeBron James and the Steph Currys of the world, Chris Paul, Andre Iguodala, you've seen Drew Brees, you see Tom Brady and the things that he's doing in football. A lot of guys are really branching out and not only being athletes, but they're understanding how to take advantage of their brand from a business standpoint. You're seeing a lot of guys transition out of sports, and they have the startup capital to start businesses. They have the startup capital to invest, but they also have the wherewithal to understand that I can still learn, I can still grow. Information is available, so guys are really, really taking advantage of that. So I think now more than ever, a lot of that stigma is being kind of knocked down a little bit, kind of being disapproved with this generation of athlete. And basically for any person on the planet, you can kind of do whatever you want. It's just really, you're only limited to the information that you're willing to pay attention to, and that you're willing to learn, because whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve, it's not hidden, it's out there.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
So Ellis, I'm curious, with everything that's going on right now, there's a lot of anxiety about the future, especially the economic future of many, many families and people, not just in this country, but globally. I mean, there's some major risks and people talking about depression. It's scary, the potential of what could happen. How do you think, is this a program you think you might expand beyond just kids to perhaps be of support to those who are needing to learn new skills, who need to reapply themselves into perhaps a field that's still relatively doing okay, the technology field? What are your thoughts? What's like your vision for the future for what you're doing, and how do you think you could help with what's going to happen or what's happening right now?
Well, that's something that's at the forefront of our society right now. Really, our world right now is, if we can't move around, if we can't get to each other, if we can't go to an office building. Not that this will be the norm. I don't think we'll have a coronavirus. Hopefully not. Like, I know we're all wishing we don't have to be quarantined once a year for 3 months. We're really hoping for that. But I think coming out of this, we're all kind of developing new ways to communicate, developing new ways to work as a world, because there are some things that have definitely stopped, and there's some industries that have been totally hurt. The traveling industry, restaurant industry, any type of personal services, like those things have been just damaged to a point where we hope they can come back and rebound. And I definitely think they will. But there are other areas in our economy, other areas in our labor force globally, where I think we're figuring out where we can kind of do certain things, still be efficient, still get things done, and we don't necessarily have to be face to face. And I think some people were riding that curve earlier than others. Again, we teach our classes via video conference, so we teach our classes in multiple states and in multiple classrooms. So we've been kind of doing some of that for the past couple of years. But I think as a world now, it's like everybody's being forced to understand like what's a Zoom conference. It's like so many people are being like, okay, now what's a Zoom conference, or what's a video conference? How do I do that? How do I click that link? So we're being forced to kind of evolve, and I think we will, like we always do.
Yeah, it's encouraging to hear how many people are either used to working remotely or doing video, a series of education, and so many naysayers in the past have been like, no, it doesn't work. It's not as effective as being in person. And now they're realizing, wow, it actually works quite well. And honestly, a lot of companies and even in education institution are going to realize, why are we paying all this money for these buildings and properties when people can just do whatever they need to do from home? I'm curious, how many kids go through the program every year, and any interesting stories of some of them who might have become entrepreneurs or created new ideas? I always love to hear those stories. If you have any of them to share with us, that would be awesome.
Well, we typically focus on our age group has been 3rd through 7th grade so far, though. So that's been the foundation of our program. We've worked with over 1,200 kids so far, and again, typically when a kid gets a chance to get introduced to something like computer science or like engineering or robotics, it's typically something that they get introduced to through a camp or one day, or they get a chance to see it. It's a fun day, they have a little fun. It was a good time, but they don't necessarily get a chance to see it anymore. So we're engaged with these students throughout the entire school year. They take a computer science fundamentals course once a week for the entire school year. So that way they get a chance to really get immersed. We introduce them to, the basics of software programming. What is a computer? What are the components of a computer? Like, what is the internet? Like, how does that actually work? All of these things that typically like govern our lives today. Like, we use our device to do basically everything. And we have a chance to really kind of get the next generation to really take a leap forward and understand, like, how can I use this device? How can I build these devices? How can I program these devices? Because every single industry, that's going to be a huge part of how they grow and evolve. Like every single industry, no matter what you do right now, if you sell peanuts, you're a software company. Because if you're planners and you don't have a website and you don't have an engaging way to engage your customers in a way that this other coming peanut company is engaging customers, your profits are at risk, right? You have to evolve. You have to somewhat become a software company. So we need to make sure we have a generation of young people, especially the ones that have traditionally in areas that have struggled economically, to figure out, okay, man, I can see a place in the economy for myself. And we start to try to plant those seeds as early as possible in the youth.
I know, Kim, you've got a couple of questions, but I just want to chime in with this because I think it's very appropriate. I think what you're saying is so spot on. People have been struggling, for example, to find hand sanitizers or even toilet paper or paper products, right? But there are commercial companies that have massive amounts of stock of these things that typically sell to restaurant groups or hotel groups. They're not selling to consumers, and those relationships are typically through purchase orders or some manual process, right? They're not in the e-commerce space. But some of them are being smart and pivoting very quickly to provide direct-to-consumer sales, and technology is enabling that for them. I was actually able to order some hand sanitizer recently, which from a company that actually produces them for most of the consumer products that are out there, but they're not pivoting and offering direct. So technology does help these businesses transform themselves in order to survive and to thrive as things get better. So I'm very encouraged to hear that you guys are doing this and at a stage where kids are trying to make a decision. What am I going to do with myself? So how do you go about attracting these kids to participate? What's it like to say, hey, you've got a bunch of different things you could do with your career. How about a career in computer science? How do you guys go and quote unquote recruit these young individuals to join and take on these classes?
Well, I've typically just worked with schools. So, through my personal network of people that I know, we work with a charter school group that runs schools in 4 different states. I actually got a chance to go to Israel with a former player. His name is Emil Okior. So we went to Israel for 10 days together, like on an NFL trip with, former players, current players, some coaches, different front office personnel. And we got a chance to visit Israel for 10 days together. So just on the bus, between trips, me and Emil talked about what he was doing with his school, like what I was doing with my program. And then we plugged into that program. They have 3 charter schools in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We provided programs to those 3 charter schools in Baton Rouge. I've worked with, just through my network, I've worked with a young lady named Chalise Henderson, who runs the Turning Point CDC in South Warren, North Carolina. So we've worked with South Warren County Schools and provided programs there. We also have, we have a link on our website. Our website is athletesforcomputerscience.org. That's athletesforcomputerscience.org. So you can go to our website. If you're a school that's interested, you can sign up your school. If you're a parent that's interested in having this at your school, you can go to the website, sign up, and we'll contact you. And whenever we can get school back going, we can actually start to do some more classes, because again, we've been impacted with working with our students, because we were teaching the classes in the schools during the school day. Now we don't really have a school day anymore. And we don't have a summer camp, or we don't have a after school program or summer program to hold our classes. But we are hosting online classes right now, which have been helpful to keep our mission going.
Perfect. Thank you. I guess one of my questions is, you mentioned a variety of different ends to computer science. I mean, one of the questions I was going to ask is, why computer science? I think we've already answered that question just with the sheer relevance of what's going on today. But what's your particular background with computer science? I understand that you also have a degree in this. And I think there's another bridge that I want to talk about, and that's this conception that computer science is hard. And I think there's some elements that really is, but I think there's a variety of things that people can do. What do you do to convince people, your students, children, even other people, that you can do this, like to get interest in STEM, that it doesn't have to take an Einstein, that just average people are more than capable of doing this? How do you encourage that?
Yeah, and that's like a spot on question, because that's one of the biggest things that we wanted to attack. So I've had other athletes who I've played with, athletes who I've worked with, join my video conference to encourage our kids. So we try to create a fun and engaging environment for the kids. So you have an athlete join your class during the school day, get a chance to talk to them for 5 or 10 minutes before you go into class. So that part of, I think, we help kind of bring some excitement. And then I always talk to the kids about just giving themselves permission for it not to be easy, right? And we try to provide a easy end for the kids. The curriculum is fun, is engaging for kids, it's age appropriate for the kids. It's centered around things that they like or familiar with, like maybe Angry Birds or Minecraft or some video game that the kids, Star Wars. So a lot of the lessons are centered around things that the kids actually like and are engaged in. And then there's no Roblox. I see. Roblox is all. My kids are always on Roblox. Always asking for Roblox. I know a lot of parents out there have gotten their pocket.
It's crazy. My 10-year-old introduced a 3-year-old to Roblox, and that's all she wants to play now.
Yeah.
It's like a subculture of its own.
Will forever be drained for Roblox. I get a request for 99 cents like every other day. So like, it's just draining me slowly, like just getting. So, yeah.
Do you have any beautiful aha moments where you yourself have been able to connect with perhaps a particular classroom, a teacher, or even a particular individual, a student, where you're just like, yes, like this is exactly why I started doing this and why I will continue doing this?
Well, a lot of times in our classes, again, you're introducing new concepts to the kids. So I always talk to them about, again, giving them permission to fail, building resiliency, trying harder. So they're struggling, they're talking. We encourage the kids to talk to each other during the class. Like, there's no cheating. Like, you can help each other. If you know something they don't, you can help out. But from time to time, again, all the time, really, in class, you always hear the kids say, "I got it," right? "I got it," right? You get that "I got it" moment from our kids. So they've been working on something, they've been trying to figure it out, and then, okay, I get it, right? You hear it and they hit say, "I got it." Those are the moments that you always listen for as a teacher when you're on class, because that kid is just happy that they just learned something new. A lot of the way I've designed the way we do classes, again, being a professional athlete, like the best teams that I've been on, we always start with the foundation, the fundamentals. We don't just go straight to running intricate plays. We're not coming out the first day running all out blitzes and different schemes. You're not coming out the first day throwing bombs, right? You're coming out building fundamentals and building confidence in those first steps. And a lot of what we're doing right now, one is we're building confidence. Right, you're trying to get a kid to have that moment, that aha moment, that "I got it," where they build confidence that I can actually think, right? I can actually see a problem and solve it. And again, it wasn't boring. It's not boring me to death. We've really focused on trying to engage the kids in a way where they enjoy it, and really building the fundamental foundations of how they think, creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving. Which I think, is something that's really needed. It's something that needs to be woven throughout our society. Like, just the ability to critically think and to solve a problem and not let it get you flustered and blown away. And again, right now, as a nation, as a world, we have a huge problem. And I know we got a lot of great people that are problem solvers that are trying to figure that out, but we definitely can develop more.
I'm curious, Ellis. So you have some charter schools that have signed up to make this available to their students.
We have public schools also.
I mean, what's happening right now, I would think, could be, I hate to call it an opportunity, but it really is for you potentially, because, I mean, have you gotten pushback in the past where it's like, "Oh, we'd rather do this in a classroom setting. We don't want to do it via video"? I mean, every kid is in school via video right now. So yeah. Is this an opportunity for you to maybe expand this offering? How much can you scale it? Like, could it be something that could be offered to thousands of schools nationwide and become a part of their curriculum? What are your plans there? Is there an opportunity for organizations or educators that are listening to maybe introduce this into their curriculum? How do they go about doing that?
Right now we're working with the 4-H Club Texas, Prairie View University. We're working with my alma mater, Mississippi State University, and our goal is to continue to train facilitators. So I've partnered with colleges. I've partnered with University of Houston. I've partnered with University of North Carolina, and we actually train their computer science students to teach our classes. So I'm working with Prairie View right now in the 4-H Club Texas, working with Mississippi State University, and right now we're in the process of training more teachers. Like, again, I'm wanting to reproduce other teachers that can go out and do the things that we're doing, and having the computer science students who are in college, who are already immersed in the curriculum, who really want to give back. Who really we can leverage their experience to put them in the classroom. So right now we're working our goal is to continue to develop partners that can bring people to the table that we can train to be facilitators. So with our partnership with the 4-H Club, they have programs in El Paso, in Austin, here in Houston, in the Dallas area, Fort Worth. So they have volunteers throughout 4-H Club Texas that we're training right now to be able to take this program to their students. One of the challenges, again, is, like you said, people are going to be resistant to doing things differently sometimes. Not just resistant, but uncomfortable. I don't want to say resistant. It's just different. So, like it was a challenge for me at first to figure out, okay, how do I best do this in the schools where I'm targeting, where I know the teachers may not be as engaging in technology, may not be as accepting, or may not just be as versed as I am. So is making sure you give everybody the space and grace to be able to grow with learning how to teach via video conference, learning a new skill, being comfortable with the curriculum. And so the biggest thing that I feel like, my biggest job has been to give everybody space to learn and be okay with it not being perfect every single time. And I tell our teachers, our young college teachers, I'm going to give you a framework in which to work with. Like a lot of my coaches, they would give us a framework on, well, this is your job, but your talent and your ability and your personality and the way you play, you'll do that job the way your talent allows you to do it. So we give our teachers a framework and we say, your delivery may be different than mine. Your students are different than the students here in this, we have some students that are in a rural area, some students that are in inner city areas, totally different personalities, so totally different way of engagement. So I tell our teachers, every class is going to be different. Give yourself a chance to learn. Like the best coaches I've had, it's not like the first day you got to get it perfect. The first day is, we'll introduce it on Monday. By Thursday, we hope you have it. And then Sunday we can go play. So just kind of give each other, a chance to grow and fail. And so that's kind of how we've made it work.
Ellis, I got a question for you. Actually, it's coming from one of our guys. And just for the record, here at Nearsoft, there's about nearly 400 people, out of which about 350 are software developers. Mm-hmm. So, the question that I have for you, not necessarily related to education, mm-hmm. but a combination of computer science and sports. He's asking you, what would you say to those who wish to get into computer science in order to pursue a career in esports?
Well, I think esports right now is taking off now. I wouldn't sit here and tell you that I understand like the revenue model for esports and how that grows and how those teams are built. But I know we've seen it on ESPN. It's on NBC, so there's obviously a market. I would say, just like I would say with anybody who's looking at getting into esports, and all my kids play video games. But I wouldn't, just like I wouldn't tell a person to put all their eggs in making it to the NBA, I wouldn't tell you to put all your eggs into being an esports champion. But I'm not sure exactly what the revenue model is. But my kids play, and I encourage them, whatever you do, try to be one of the best at it. So, they play Fortnite, they play NBA 2K. Star Wars, they're all into Minecraft, Overwatch. Like they play a lot of the games that people are competing at, and a lot of the leagues are driven around. So I'm not taking that away from them because it wasn't a pathway for me. I have no clue what esports is going to turn into in the future, and I think none of them right now.
We'll have to see how it plays out. It's kind of like Disney was proposing, moving pictures with animated characters instead of real actors, or Pixar, proposed doing movies with animated characters with real actors doing the voiceover. So there is a trend where some traditional mediums that have required in-person, human beings being there, have provided digital formats of those that have done very well. So who knows, especially with all the lockdowns, and who knows how fast we'll get back to having sports arenas filled with individuals. Maybe there's a potential future in esports that we ought to look at. Who knows? But we're coming up on.
And I really like real quick. I saw I had an opportunity to meet a company, and they had like this AR handball where you could shoot things at each other. And again, you have you had a phone on, had this some gloves that could track you. And if the more athletic you were, the better you were at the game. But it was AR. So I think there's so many different opportunities, and that's why we try to push our kids, not just in computer science, because every kid's not going to be a software programmer, right? Everybody's not going to be a software programmer. But at the level that we're working with our kids, we're trying to make sure they're inspired to at least shoot at something, right? Have some type of target. No matter what that is, whether it's fashion or sports or agriculture, whatever that is, computers and software will play a role in that industry. Get interested in learning how that works and how you can find your space.
Right. And I think the idea here is to always be in the mindset of, wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And you can fill in that blank and just encouraging that dreaming. And I think that's something that we can all take away today is, wouldn't it be cool if, and just
wouldn't it be cool if a lot more girls who became women would study computer science, and there'd be a lot more women in tech? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Because it's predominantly a male-dominated industry right now. We'd like to change that.
Software is language, right? Software is language, and the way men use language, or the way this culture uses language, or the way a woman would use a language could be totally different. But with software programming, it's like you use the language differently, you create something, and it's different and it's unique to you. So, the more perspectives we can get into computer science and programming, I think the better.
And I think your approach is really beautiful. This idea of, boys, getting them, who are traditionally attracted to, more athletic roles, into a space where they can see something that goes beyond that. And then likewise, girls who might not be, introduced into STEM or things like that, starting very young. And I think it just creates this nice balance of,
I
just love what you're doing, because it eliminates the boundaries and it's open and inclusive.
In our classes, there's every child that's in that class is in that class. So there's no choice. Like, you can't take the girls out, or the girls don't have to choose to go. You're in the class. So
Exactly. So we're up on time, but I do want to encourage, if anyone who's watching in our space, in the software space, if you run an academy or a software school and you want to volunteer and offer your services up, your teachers up, please get in contact with Ellis. We will provide the links on the at the end of the show on the landing page at dojo.nearsoft.com. Because it sounds to me, in order for you to scale, you need more teachers. And so we actually have an academy ourselves. Maybe we ought to look at that ourselves after we hang up, as an opportunity to give back to the community. But definitely encourage those who have watched to participate and reach out to you. And let's get more of this into more kids and young adults, and give them opportunities into the technology space. It's been a pleasure having you with us. It always ends up, when we're having fun, the time's up. But thank you for joining us. We'd love to have you again sometime in the near future. Yeah. And before we go, I just want to remind everyone, on Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific, we're going to have a recap of this show. We'll talk about the highlights. So it's the highlights of this game, if you will. Come back at 1 p.m. on Monday. And then next week on Wednesday, who do we have, Carlos? What's our lineup for next week? Look at me using all these sports words. Our lineup.
Our lineup. I like that. So, Julio, we're having 2 interviews each week now, and which is Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So,
all right, Tuesday, Wednesday.
The Tuesday one, the next one is going to be on Tuesday, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to be having a conversation with Yenvi Truong, the CEO of Health Snap. Health Snap is this is about telehealth, by the way. It's a lifestyle data analytics platform. So we're going to be speaking. I got the topic right here. We're going to be speaking about how wearables and sensors will be part of our daily living, a look into the future. So that's the topic for next Tuesday's Dojo Live right here at 1 p.m. Pacific.
And then Wednesday, what do we have Wednesday?
And on Wednesday, we are going to be having a conversation. I don't have the topic yet, but I can tell you who we're going to be speaking with. We're going to be speaking with Armia Deshmukh from Maya Systems. Maya Systems, it's obviously a tech company, right? To be in full disclosure, I don't have the details. She hasn't sent them over to me yet. But that's, as you know, Tulio, we don't have...
Yeah, we'll make it fun anyway. We'll make it interesting.
We always have great, awesome guests here. And so that should be, it's not going to be a disappointment by no means. So it's Armia Deshmukh from Maya Systems. And stay tuned for the topic right there on the Dojo Live website.
Thanks for joining us, and stay safe, everyone.
All right, stay safe, man. Thank you, guys. Let's do this again soon. Have fun. All right, see you. All right, Kim, Carlos.
Bye.
Thank you, Alice.
All right, Tulio, right? That's it, right?